As outlined in the manuscript associated with this video, we used a design-based research process to identify 3 resident needs and design dashboard elements to meet these needs. In this video, I will provide an overview of the resulting resident dashboard while outlining the elements mapped to each of the 3 needs. Specifically, I will demonstrate elements of the dashboard designed to provide guidance through the assessment program, present workplace-based assessment data, and present other assessment data. The residents needed guidance to help them navigate the assessment program. This was facilitated through multiple dashboard elements. The top of the dashboard presents a calendar incorporating a rotation schedule for the current year, which orientates the residents to upcoming rotations. Clicking on View History expands the schedule retrospectively. Additional guidance on EPAs to be targeted is provided by clicking on individual rotations within the calendar. This prevents a reference card associated with a selected rotation, which outlines the EPAs that should be obtained while on it. Guidance on the number of EPAs to be obtained can be seen by clicking View EPAs/block. This presents the number of EPAs observed during each rotation, along with a heat map percentage indicating whether the number of observations that were received is below, at, or above the program's expectation for that rotation. Below the calendar, EPA acquisition metrics are displayed. The residents were particularly interested in tracking the average number of EPAs per week, as our residents target an average of 2 or more. An average value is displayed for this metric in the green tab, and the number of EPAs per week that they had received in recent weeks is outlined in the corresponding graph. Feedback that the resident has received from the competency committee is presented in the next section as a line chart. Each dot represents a competency committee meeting where they received feedback. The y-axis indicates how they are progressing through training using the categories accelerated, as expected, not as expected, not progressing, or inactive. Inactive is entered if the resident has been on leave over the last interval. Hovering over each dot displays the feedback that was sent to the resident by the competence committee, which frequently guides the resident's priorities. Residents also need effective presentation of their workplace-based assessment data to facilitate review and reflection. To facilitate this, line charts were created for each of the EPAs that provide detailed information on the resident's performance. EPA observations are presented from oldest on the left to newest on the right. The y-axis of the line chart maps to the score on a 5-point entrustability scale. The narrative data associated with each EPA can be viewed either by hovering over a specific assessment to display additional details, or by clicking on this icon. Clicking the icon presents the narrative data in a tabular format that could be sorted and searched by entrustment score, date, and faculty member. The residents generally used hovering to look at data for specific EPAs, while they expanded the table when they wanted to look through all of their narrative data for that EPA. Clicking on the other icon within this graph allows the highlighting of observations associated with certain patient demographics or clinical presentations. This allows residents to review the patients and presentations that they have seen within each EPA. Access to recent EPA observations is available via a Recent EPAs element at the top of the dashboard. It graphs the last 10, last 25, last 1 month, or last 3 months of observations from all of their observed EPAs. This allows residents to log into their dashboard and quickly review their recent feedback without needing to look through individual EPAs. Again, hovering over each dot displays the context and narrative feedback for that observation. At the bottom of the dashboard, a table presents a list of expired EPAs. This allows residents to identify EPAs that they have sent to preceptors which have not been completed so that they can follow up with those faculty. The residents also needed access to assessment data that was not associated with workplace-based assessments, such as exam scores and overall narrative comments. 2 graphs were used to present exam score data. All written exam scores from our residents' Canadian in-training examination are reported in the graph on the left. Scores are reported as a percentile relative to the residents in their national cohort. The There are 2 exams per year, and each score indicates the year the exam was taken and the resident's percentile or rank. Oral exam scores are presented for each oral exam station that was completed during a given academic year. Hovering over each dot displays the context and narrative feedback associated with that exam score. Scores from prior years can be loaded through the menu on the top right corner of the graph. Our faculty complete narrative assessments on residents that are not associated with specific EPAs. They are used to provide either an overall perspective on their progress or to report on an event that is not easily classified within an existing EPA. Narrative observations are not rated on an entrustment score, so they cannot be easily graphed. Instead, they are presented in a tabular format at the bottom of the dashboard, along with the date they were submitted and who provided the feedback. They can be sorted and searched by date or observer. Thank you for taking the time to review our manuscript and our project.